Pilates is a form of low impact exercise that aims to strengthen our muscles as well as improve our posture, our alignment, and our flexibility. While it helps to strengthen and stabilize our core, it's also building our upper muscle endurance, but also increase our flexibilities like in our hamstrings. But Pilates is so much more than that. It's a great physical exercise, but it's also one that's so great for mental health. Hi, my name is Beth Schomp, and I am your host and healthy correspondent of Your Best Life. And I'm so glad that you're joining us today because I have one of the industry's leading experts when it comes to Pilates. You're going to love this episode, so stay tuned. If you're consistent with your exercise, that is awesome. But one of the challenges that many of us face is we get so consistent with our exercise, we can get in a rut and do the same routine over and over and over again. Well, if that's you, you're going to love this little episode of Your Best Life because Pilates is a wonderful low impact exercise that can really kind of shake up your routine and maybe work some parts of your body that haven't really been worked out before. So to help us learn all about Pilates, I have one of the best in the industries. Her name is Ruth Gordon, and Ruth is the owner of Core Personal Training and Pilates Studio. So Ruth, welcome. I'm so glad to have you on here.
Thank you, Beth. I'm so glad you invited me.
Ruth and I go back a long, long way because when I lived up north, Ruth was my personal trainer for many, many years. And she was one of the ones I missed the most when I moved down to Florida. So Ruth, I still miss you.
I miss you too, actually.
So our subject today is on Pilates. And so, but I want our audience, Ruth, to get to know Ruth a little bit. So tell us, you started off in the fitness industry, I don't know how many years ago. So tell us a little bit how that all happened, how that evolved.
Sure. It's been a long time, actually. So probably 1980, I discovered aerobics, which now is group exercise, Mm-hmm. And I decided that I loved it so much that I wanted to teach. And so I got certified in the very first group exercise certification they had, like in 1982. Then down the road, after doing that for a while, personal training became a thing. So I did the first personal training certification in 1993. And so therefore, it just kind of grew from there. Over the years, I got my degree in exercise science and wellness. So, I really, my passion was about helping people. But to make a long story short, I found Pilates in 2002. And I'll never forget the first time I took a Pilates class. And the only reason I did is because someone said to me, oh, you're getting injured or things are happening to your body, you're getting older. You need something different that's more low impact, that's really going to help to offset the injuries and whatnot. So Pilates was suggested. So I went to a Pilates class and I'll never forget it because here I thought I was like fit and flexible and, all these things. And I sat down and I put my legs out in front of me and I couldn't sit up straight, but I'm looking at the instructor and the instructor is sitting up really straight, just this perfect straight spine. So I was like, okay, this has got something, right? So I was thinking, if she can do that, then I know I can do it. So maybe I need to look into this Pilates thing. And that's kind of how I started in the Pilates world, and then got certified and all these things through the gym that I was at.
Well, and I have to say that's one of the things that really impressed me in training with you all over all those years. You were always furthering your education, and I don't know that a lot of the trainers out there today do all that you do in terms of your training. But getting back to Pilates, so you discovered it. What was it about Pilates that made you fall in love with it?
Yeah. So not only was I feeling like this competition, like I should be able to sit up straight, but I did have some back pain and I had, off and on some things that were happening. I have scoliosis, so my spine isn't always, sitting right. And I had done things for that, like chiropractic, and that definitely helps. But after doing the Pilates training for a while, I noticed that I was sitting taller, so I could sit straight with my legs out in front of me. I was standing taller. I'll never forget the day, and this was at Gold's where we were training, Beth. I walked by the treadmill and one of my clients stopped me and she goes, Ruth, are you getting taller? I mean, seriously, it blew my mind because I was like thinking, oh, maybe this Pilates stuff is helping me to stand taller, you know? But it also did things like it made me feel more relaxed, more centered. My back pain felt better. My scoliosis felt more stable. So, I mean, there was definitely benefits. And then when I started training my clients, I saw how they were benefiting because I was doing mostly functional, you know, traditional stuff. So that's when I was like, yeah, this is Pilates is definitely a keeper.
What you're saying is that you saw results, not just in you, but you saw the results in other people. That, I mean, I can understand that entirely. That's very motivating when you see the results of your work.
Absolutely.
So tell the audience what actually is Pilates.
Right. So a lot of people, maybe nowadays people know more, but a lot of people don't realize it was created by a gentleman, Joseph Pilates, who is from Germany. And it's a system or method of exercises that assists you in many things. We'll talk about the health benefits, I guess, later, but he created it as a way to get over asthma, rickets. He was kind of a sickly child in Germany back then. You know, they kind of classified you, okay, you're sickly, so you're not going to be an athlete. And he was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be an athlete. And through this system of exercises, he was able to become a gymnast, a boxer. I mean, all these athletic endeavors. And then he went on to help, like he was interning at a hospital. He decided to try to get his patients who were laying in the bed and not able to lift their own limbs a way to do that. So the machinery actually came around as an assistive device. A lot of people think that the equipment is more advanced, but it's actually, it started as more assistive. And now it can create more advanced work too.
Okay, that's interesting. So tell us then, you mentioned about the health benefits. Let's go over some of those.
Okay. Well, the list is long. I may have to refer to my cheat sheet here for a second, but it definitely strengthens the core. I mean, we're all about the core. We're working on mobility of the spine. So taking it through the different ranges of motion that it's supposed to go in, you know, twisting, lateral flexion, extension. So it makes the spine more healthy. It strengthens your core, but it also improves like overall flexibility, strength throughout the whole entire body. It can create relaxation because of the breath. You're able to get more oxygen into the system when you're utilizing these lobes of your lungs that you can get more oxygen in. So increased, you know, lung capacity, increased circulation, concentration. It's definitely a mind-body exercise. So focusing in on what you're doing with the body at any given moment is part of the Pilates process. But the list, like I said, is so long: balance, coordination, you know, numerous things.
So you mentioned the mind-body connection, if you will. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know that Pilates is really good for, of course, physical endurance, but also mental endurance as well. Can you explain a little bit more in detail how that is?
Sure. So first of all, you know, there's many ways to create stress reduction, right? And one of the ways that you might have seen on the internet or wherever is through breathing. So learning how to take good breath in, maybe control your breath. It helps to kind of calm the system, you know, decrease cortisol and all of the things that increase our stress levels. So that alone, just learning how to get more oxygen into the system can do that. The mind-body focus, when you have to focus on what you're doing with your body versus, you know, your brain is going in a million different directions. You know, I have this client that I used to train on the functional side. Now she's gotten so good at Pilates, she can put her phone away, but she would get so distracted with her phone that she never could get through a session without getting her brain away from that. So now she's learned how to do that, and her stress levels have gone down. She's able to focus during the session. I mean, it's just amazing, you know, what you can do when you really focus in on what you're doing. So the breathing, you know, stress reduction, all of that.
That makes me think of something, and this is very off the cuff, not to kind of throw you a little bit. But what that makes me think of is well, first of all, I got to tell you, the longer we sit here and talk, the more I feel like I'm sitting up straighter. It's making me do that.
That's good.
It's that awareness. But,
That's good.
I play tennis. I play tennis pretty much every day.
Mhm.
But the older I get, the more distracted I am. And, sometimes I can be out in the courts. It's like, my mind is all over the place. And so this is kind of a setup question, I guess, but I'm thinking out loud it seems to me logically based on what you just told me is
Mhm.
Pilates would probably help performance in other activities or sports like tennis.
Absolutely. And I'll give you a good example. I have several clients that are golf players, and golf requires a
Mhm.
lot of focus, and
Mhm.
you have to really. So they've all told me that because of the Pilates process and focusing on what they're doing in the movement or their breath to the movement and
Mhm.
really slowing down a little bit, because we're so busy when we're doing more traditional functional cardio, boot camp, whatever. We're
Right.
not really slow and focused. So Pilates really slows that down. And I have seen, and they have seen, that there lots of improvements on the course. So it can help any sport, absolutely any sport. I know people have told me in the past, Tiger Woods played golf. I always have to throw that name out there. Sorry. But there are lots of even football players, I've heard of that do Pilates. So it can
Oh,
benefit
okay.
lots of sports in lots of ways. So yes,
So this is just another off the cuff question, but
sure.
um, if someone wanted to start Pilates, how
Mhm.
many times a week do you recommend that they take a class or do Pilates?
Yeah. So once a week would be okay. We've had some clients who have started, but they practice on their own at home. Like we always give homework
Sure.
or home exercises that helps with the process. But more is always better. I mean,
Okay.
just like any exercise routine, if you're coming in, every other day, maybe 3 times a week, that's going to speed the process up or the learning process up
Mhm.
over 1 time a week. But you can get away with 1 time a week.
So now, how does Pilates differ from, say, something like yoga?
So, okay, there's a few comparisons, but also definitely some differences. I mean, Joseph, if you look at some of the Pilates moves, you'll
Mhm.
see some yoga-ish type things,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
he made it his own because of what his end goal was and what he was trying to achieve. And so, like with yoga, typically you're holding a pose and you're breathing. So that's more for like the relaxation or the flexibility benefits,
Mhm.
or you're going through a flow, and that's more about strength and flexibility as well.
Mhm.
Versus with Pilates, it's just different than that. You might have a little bit of a flow, but the flow would probably come later when you're more practiced. It's more about positioning and creating, the right positions for your pelvis, your spine, and then working through it that way. Also, yoga is mostly done on a mat, but Pilates, as you can see behind me, we're in my Pilates studio. You also have equipment work, and the equipment work can add extra resistance, or it can give you, it can assist you during the typical more challenging mat exercises.
Right.
Um,
And
but
that's what you call the reformer, right? The
one of them is
equipment.
the reformer. Yeah. So the bed looking thing behind me, that's a
Mhm.
reformer. The thing that you see standing up, that's a tower unit. That's kind of the end of a what they call a Cadillac or a trapeze table,
Oh.
which I have here in the studio, but I can't move my camera to show you. But, and then there's chairs, there's ladder barrels. The chair, I mean, we're going kind of off topic a little, but the chair that he created was actually created as a way for everybody in America to have a piece of exercise equipment in your house. So if you flip it one way and you put a cushion on, it looks like a chair in your living room. If you take the cushion off and you flip it and you put the spring on, now you're ready to work out. So
Smart guy.
yeah, he was ahead of his time. Too bad we didn't have QVC back then or something.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So
Yeah.
is it true that Pilates helps with bone density? And the reason why I ask is a lot of our viewers, we're getting up in age and bone density is something that we have to look at. There's a lot of different ways to improve bone density, but I'd heard that Pilates was one of them. Is that true?
That's true. Yes, Pilates can definitely improve bone density. Now, I will say this. There are a lot of flexion exercises that you would not want to do in Pilates. However, that's why you want to make sure when you go to a studio that you pick a studio that has qualified instructors. If they're PMA, well, they used to call it PMA certified. Now I believe it's NCPT. I can get that information for you later, but they just changed that. But anyway, you'd want to look for those type of instructors if you could find them. But yeah, you would need to modify some things, but that's easy to do. And in a way that it helps to support the spine, works more on stability versus moving into extreme flexion moves, because that's what you want to be mindful of with osteoporosis and those kind of things. Yeah. But we've had clients who come to us and told us, hey, my bone density, I just got my test done and it's improved. Yeah. So we know it's just like any other strengthening exercise. You challenge the muscles around the bone enough, the bone is going to respond. So it's really helpful.
That's right. That's right. Well, you've been awesome today. You've really kind of taken away the, I don't want to say fear of Pilates, but a lot of times people, they're curious, but they don't want to get too close to look. And, by getting this information, hopefully it'll encourage people to, try something new and find that Pilates studio. So now, Ruth, if people wanted to reach out to you with questions, they want to maybe contact you directly so that they could come to your studio, how can they find you?
Okay. If you want to call the studio, our number is 703-490-2673. You can email us at CorePTPilates@gmail. That's CorePTPilates@gmail. We also are on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and our handle is CorePTPilates, so it should be easy to find. And then I also have an additional business that we do completely online with one of my trainers. We started it called FemFit Over 40. So we're also on Facebook. So you can look for us there. We have a support group. So there's lots of ways to find me.
That's great. That's great. And we want to thank you for watching today. If you have any other questions in regards to any episode, you're welcome to email me directly at yourbestlife9@gmail.com. Now be sure you like this video, and be sure you subscribe to the chapter or to the channel so that you can be contacted for any new videos that we put out there on Your Best Life. Until the next time we meet again, be happy and be healthy.